Now, there are different headings, that is motor control components and schemes, drive specification, stability of electric drives, thermal characteristic, dynamic of starting, regeneration in drives, electric traction, linear motor and magnetic levitation. Now, this portion will be covered by me. The other portion in the other part, that is, it will include that basic DC and AC drives and schematics of that. Now, this portion, obviously, you can see some mainly theoretical, because for any drive system, study of transients and stability, these are important. Now, actually, previously it was included in your machine syllabus, but now, as number of papers is now 3 only, so this portion has to be included in drives. So, this for specific, I will just give a basic. Now, actually, some repairing works are going on. Can you hear me, or it is disturbing? That sound will be there. Okay, I just give some basic specification, and I will next day I will go on for the. So for electric drives is more or less universally used now. It is preferred over mechanical drives, because in any large factories or any power plants, except the large motors driving the main load, there are several auxiliary drives also, which are important, very important for running the system itself. So it is there are numerous application in the transport industry, agriculture, domestic sector, and the large industry. So in any industry, the fans, that is, if there are large motors for power systems, the large generators, that will require extensive coolings, and obviously for that we will require fans. Obviously, these are electric drives again, and it requires control and precision. Then ventilation, then compressors and pumps, which are used in then for the traction drive, then we have the electric traction, that is the railways, metro railways. Besides that, we have the lifting of goods by hoist and cranes. These are also electric driven machines, electric drives. Then imparting motion to conveyors in factories, mines, and warehouses. This is also invariably electric motors are used. Then running excavators, escalators, electric locomotive, train, cars, trolley buses, lifts, drum winders, and so on. So the applications are different. So depending on the application, the loading pattern will be different. So it will require different control, and different characteristics of the motors are utilized. Now, large application of electric drives in steel and plastic rolling mills, textile and paper mills, printing press, and machine tools, etc. All incorporate electric drives, because basic machine which rolls the steel sheet, that will be mechanical, but that thing is driven by electric motors. And electric motors are preferred over mechanical drives, because its efficiency is better, control is better, and precise. Now, for cutting, milling, drilling, grinding, punching, pressing, clipping, and other operation of machine tools, these are mechanical operation, but or in all cases, we will have electric drives operating the machine. Electric drives are also incorporated in flights, landing control of aircrafts, and propulsion system of submarines for cruising under the water. In fact, in the ships nowadays, actually, you cannot have line supply. So, but your fuel is the fossil fuel. But what is done? It is used to run the prime mover by which an electric generator is run, and that is used for controlling the ship, because in the control is better if we have the main devices are controlled by are driven by electric motors. So it is it is to say that for every application nowadays we have to have electric motors, and it is an integral part of industrialization. Now, broadly, when we go for broad classification of electric drives, we can first one is that we can classify it as manual, semi-automatic, and automatic. Obviously, the names are from the names you can understand what it is. Now, manual means it is there is no automatic control. Semi-automatic means there is automatic control, but there is provision of human intervention. And automatic means totally computer control. The mode of operation and economics dictate the type of control which will be applied. The load and its characteristics are basic parameters for determining the motor rating. The load may be of continuous or intermittent type. The magnitude of the load can be constant or variable. Environmental condition also gives always important, because if while selecting a motor we have to be careful that what is the moisture level, what is the pollution level, whether it is explosive or not. Depending on that, we have to select the motor. So external temperature, cooling methods, humidity, density, dust and dirt, vibration, and shocks all are important factors for determining the design and construction of the mechanical transmission and the type of motors to be used. Electric motors normally for large size motors used in the industry are DC or AC. Obviously, we have the DC motor. Besides that, we have the AC motors, mainly induction and synchronous motor. Besides that, there are also special purpose motors also. And nowadays, all supply systems include power electronic devices, because when power electronics was not that well developed, in that case mainly DC motors were used, because the control of DC motor was is very simple and effective. Very easily the speed can be controlled over a wide range by controlling simply the armature voltage or the field current. But DC motor had certain disadvantage, mainly that moving contact of the commutator and brushes, there will be sparking and the brushes, and there are certain condition in the industry where the sparking is a disadvantage. It might cause fire hazards and other things. So, and as a motor, an AC motor, particularly a induction motor, is cheaper than the DC motor, but the control was difficult, because induction motor is synchronous motor, it runs at a constant speed depending on the supply frequency. An induction motor is more or less run at a constant speed. Its speed varies with speed, varies slightly, but that is load dependent. So for a particular motor, for particular voltage and frequency, for particular load, it runs at a constant speed. So to control the speed, it requires a complex power electronic circuits. Now the power electronics system is well developed. So this AC motors with power electronic controllers are replacing DC motor. DC motors also have power electronic controllers, but that converters are cheaper than the AC motor power supplies. Now, so in nutshell, what are the advantage and disadvantage of electric drives? These are the advantages. That is, electric drive is flexible. It is more economical. It is more clean, as there is no fumes, fuels, etc. That is, when we are creating electricity, then obviously there is fumes and other things, but that is localized, and then that can be dealt much more easily, very effectively. We can have electrostatic precipitator and other things, so that at the power source itself, the dust and dirt can be handled. But if we have mechanical drive, then it will create fumes because of the fuel burning, so it is difficult to control. Now then, it occupies less space as compared to other forms of drives and is very compact. Its operating characteristic can easily be modified. We will see four-quadrant operation of electric motors. All electric motors are operative, can be operated in all the four quadrants of operation, and so very easily. So it can be, and then electric drives can be remotely controlled. It requires less maintenance compared to the mechanical drive system. It is reliable, more reliable. Reliability is more. Lifespan is long, and starting is easier. Say for example, it's the electric drive do not have any warm-up time. Say for traction drive, when electric motors were not used, we have that coal-fired engines. Now that steam engines has a warm-up time of around 2 hours, because the boiler boiler will take certain time to create the steam to propel the engine. So that warm-up time is absent in case of electric vehicles. The disadvantage is that the non-availability of drive on failure of supply. That is obvious. If supply is there is a supply failure, the whole system will shut down, and it can be used only if we have electric supply network. So that initially that electrification requires a huge amount of money, and that is required. Now, from the operating point of view, classification, we can first we can classify like this. It can be a group electric drive. Group electric drive means we have a single motor that will drive different one or more line shaft and support different different machines by connected through pulleys or belts or gears. Now the advantage of this system is that a single large motor can be used instead of a number of motors, and compared to the total number of small motors, the cost compared to that, this will be less costly. The single motor rating may be approximately reduced, taking into effect the diversity factor for loads. But the disadvantage is that if the large motor there is any fault, then the total system will shut down. So the total system will come to rest. So addition of extra machine, if we want to have a spare, then that extra machine should be also of that same capacity. So normally this is rarely used. It is not used, but it was used previously. Now, individual electric drive. Now, individual electric drive in individual machine is driven by a separate motor. This motor also inputs motion to various parts of the machine. Say for lathe machine, we have a motor which will rotate the spindle, move the feet, and also uh, operate the lubricating system and cooling pumps. So in the lathe machine itself, we require different type of motions, and those all those motions are imparted by the single motor, and this motor is an integral part of the system. Then multi-motor drive system. This is universally used for large industries, say for steel rolling mill. The rolling mill will have different components which are run by different electric motors. In this, so the whole system is run by more than one electric motors, and the operation of these motors have to be coordinated. And this is normally automatic, fully automatic, and computer control. So, in this drive system, there are several drives, each of which serves to actuate one of the working parts of the driven mechanism. Application of such a drive are found in complicated metal cutting machine tools, paper making machines, rolling mills, etc. The drives of a crane can also be considered as an example of multimotor system. That is, if we consider a crane, say widely, you can see cranes now widely are being used in that metro rail construction. Now there are different distinct motion: the vertical movement, lifting and lowering the load, then the sidewise movement, and third is the forward movement of the vehicle. So for these three type of movements, three different motors are used. There are some cases where an automatic coordination function, sometimes this coordination is required, so it requires automatic control. But this crane is a semi-automatic device. That is, we have the operator which will control basically which control has to be applied and not. So it is a semi-automatic device. For instance, a traction drive of an electric locomotive consists of 4 to 8 motors. So it is obvious that functioning of this motor should be coordinated in such a way that none of them other had to be coordinated. Otherwise, one motor will load the other. So obviously, we cannot have a single motor to drive the whole train. So it is distributed over the whole range. So we have different unit which has the motors, and it is distributed over the length. This has certain advantage also. When we go to the traction system, you will see. A rolling mill incorporates several individual drives. It eliminates tearing and breakage of the product. The speeds of individual drives should be coordinated to maintain continuous, uninterrupted flow of material at uniform speed and constant tension. This is also true for paper mills. So these required fully automatic systems. So, and for the from the point of view of control scheme, but as I have told, it can be divided into manual control, semi-automatic, and automatic control. Manual control, the electric drives with manually control can be simple as a room fan. That is a fan operating in your house or in the college, because we really do not have any automatic control. We only have a regulator, either power electronic or a resistive regulator, which will just control the speed. And then semi-automatic drive, semi-automatic control consists of manual device for giving a certain commands, that is starting, braking, reversing, change of speed, etc. As for example, I talked about the crane, electric crane. Then automatic control, the automatic drives, automatic control have a control gear without manual device such as manual intervention, because that decision will be taken by the computer. This is for steel mill or paper mill, because that coordination has to be maintained for different motors. Then it can be classified on based of the speed control also. The first group is uncontrolled constant speed of rotation during normal operating condition. The speed might be unidirectional or otherwise, depending on the application. The magnitude of the speed is not an important consideration and is permitted to fluctuate in response to variation in the magnitude of and direction of the load torque. As for example, that motors used for pumps, ventilators, compressors, etc. Pumps, ventilators, compressors, fans, obviously these are unidirectional. It won't operate if it is operating in the reverse direction. The second group is that it provided a step change in speed during normal operating condition while maintaining constant speed within the step. Rotation may be unidirectional or otherwise, or without speed control during transient period. These drives are used in various machine tools, for example, in a drilling machine. Electric in electric drill, the electric drive has to provide different speeds for different materials. Then that speed should depend on the material, the thickness of the job, and the diameter of the drill. So depending on that, it will control the speed in steps. It is not continuous, but once set, it will be constant. Then third group, these drives provide smooth or narrow step control of speed within certain ranges during normal operating condition. The drive of an electric locomotive can serve for an example where smooth, because say for electric traction motors, the motor control should be such that the speed change is very smooth, because there that comfort of the passenger is very important. So it should be in such a manner that the passenger within the train does not feel any discomfort. The main drive of a rolling mill can serve as an example, but compared to the locomotive, the requirement of the speed drives are different. For rolling mill, there is a front pass, then the back pass. So the speed of both the front pass and the back pass are different, and for each pass, the job is becoming thinner. So the speed has to be speed has to be adjusted accordingly. The main of a blooming mill must provide minimum decrease of speed when the billet is passing through the rolls and a fast reversal. The drive of a continuous rod and plate rolling mill printing press must rotate in one direction, but their speed must be synchronized and accurately controlled so that the product are uniformly rolled. So here there are number of motors which the operation of and speed of which has to be coordinated by the automatic control. For the fourth group, the drives have to provide a speed control for fixed position of the load. Drives for lifts and mine binders are example of drives of this group. This type of drive is used for automatic production lines, skip lifting and loading installation in sugar and chemical industries. Fifth group, this group has a position control in response to the command. They are also called servo motors. They are widely used in recording and controlling instruments, copying devices for machine tools, drive systems, radio, radar, antennas, etc. So not only the speed, the position is important for radars, etc. Similarly for the lift also, lift system. Then factors governing the selection of motors. The electric motors are essentially reliable machines calling for little maintenance, provided suitable choice it made. In fact, they tend to suffer from over attention rather than maintenance. An engineer should therefore exercise utmost cost and vigil on selection of the motor. Now, while selecting a motor, several factors has to be uh, noticed. That is, first of all, the nature of electric supply. That is, what type of supply is available. But is not only AC or DC, whether rectified supply or the voltage frequency level, all will decide which motors has to be used. Then the nature of the drive, whether motor is to be drive individual machine or group of machine, that will decide the motor characteristic required. Then the nature of the load, whether the load requires light or heavy starting torque, whether load torque increases with speed or remains constant, whether load has heavy inertia which may require long starting time. These transient conditions has to be known before selecting the motor. Then electric characteristic of the motor, the starting and running characteristic should be suitable for the drive. Then speed control, braking characteristic also should be known and be considered while selecting the motor. Size and rating, whether motor is to run continuously, intermittent or variable load cycle. That is, if it is a continuously running, then there is obviously motor rating should be equal to the connected load. But if it is intermittently loaded, in that case, it is uneconomical if we select the motor rating depending on the maximum power output requirement. So these load factors has to be considered. Then after selecting the motor, we should see that whether the pull-out torque is sufficient for the system. Then the mechanical characteristics are also important: type of enclosure, type of bearing, transmission of drive, noise level, etc. These for motors, this will depend on the type of load it is driving. So depending on that, this has to be decided. Enclosure is very important, whether we require a deep roof enclosure, whether a fan cooling is required or not, that has to be decided. Then obviously, uh, most important thing is the cost, whether the capital cost, what is the running cost. So this cost has to be considered when we are selecting a drive system. Then motors, what are the motor availables? Motors availables are AC or DC, fed from DC or AC supply respectively. Obviously, nowadays direct DC or sinusoidal AC is ran very rarely fed to the motor, because it will be fed from a power electronic device, so that we can control the motor characteristic over a wide range. সরি 1 মিনিট। হ্যালো সপ্তাহ, আমি একটু ক্লাস নিচ্ছি। হ্যাঁ, ঠিক আছে, পরে ফোন করবো। হ্যাঁ, হুম। Now, as I told earlier, that nowadays DC motor with converters are being replaced by AC motors with their controllers. So AC motors for large ratings, we have mainly two types: induction and the synchronous machine. Induction motors are fitted with either squirrel cage or wound rotor type. Now, squirrel cage variety is more very widely popular because it requires very little maintenance. Uh, However, if the large starting torque is required, and in that case, we have to go for wound rotor. The first type, squirrel cage type, is cheap, rugged, and maintenance free, with the availability of inverter with VVVF control. Variable speed AC drives using induction motors are emerging as a powerful alternative to DC drives. Though, however, the cost of a DC motor is more than the cost of a squirrel cage induction motor of same rating, but the DC motor with its controller is still cheaper than the induction motor plus its controller, because the controller is expensive and uh, complex. But due to some advantages, it is being replaced by DC motors are being replaced by induction motors. The use of pulse width modulation technique in inverters has resulted in reduction of harmonics in output voltages and reduction of torque pulsation, and resulted in high efficiency. So, in cases where high starting torque is required, the wound rotor motors are used because it will have a high starting torque. The rotor resistance can be varied and to have a high starting torque. Otherwise, we prefer the squirrel cage variety. For subsynchronous speed operation, in which case slip power from the rotor uh, can be fed via slip ring to the supply. So this is a special application of slip ring motor. We can have also doubly fed motor also. Then synchronous motor operates at different power factor. The synchronous motor main advantage is that the power factor is controllable. That is, induction motor, it is, as the name suggests, it will always run at a lagging power factor. But synchronous motor power factor, we know that it will depend on the field excitation. So, whereas the induction motor takes current at lagging power factor due to the magnetizing current requirement. So these motors are used for now actually in the low speed range, low speed high power range. These synchronous motors are much more advantageous, because low speed means large number of poles. So induction motor, we have the distributed winding, so it is difficult to make the induction motor with low speed. It is costly. So in that that is low speed, high power range, synchronous motor is uh, much more popular. However, with synchronous motor, obviously, as it runs at a constant speed, depending on the supply frequency, so we should have a variable voltage, variable frequency supply for its speed control. These motors at different speed, unlike the motors fed from variable frequency supply, which can not withstand large load torque variation due to stability problems. So this type of problems are there. So in this range, DC motors are still being used. Large rating means I am talking about megawatt ranges. So this is the very sketchy idea about drive specification. Uh, we won't go into any details more than this. Next one we will go for is the automatic semi-automatic controllers used for motor drives. Say for we will just discuss circuits you have already studied, how it can be controlled by semi-automatic devices. So let us look at this. This is the DC shunt motor starter using voltage sensing relays. Now you have studied DC shunt motor and you have studied DC shunt motor starter, that 3-point and 4-point starter. If you remember, this starter is basically nothing but a high resistance which is inserted in series with the armature. Because the DC motor, if you remember, DC motor, the we have to use a starter because initially at when we are giving supply to the motor, if that speed is 0, so a DC motor voltage equation, if you remember, it is a supply voltage is equal to back EMF plus IARA drop. Now as the speed is 0, so back EMF is 0. So if we apply the full voltage, a large current will flow through the armature, which will burn out the armature. So our main purpose of connecting a starter in case of DC shunt motor or a series motor also, to reduce the starting current, so that the current is within 2 to 2.5 times the rated current. So the same principle is used here. That is, our principle remain the same. That is, when we are designing a DC shunt motor starter, automatic starter, our aim is to insert resistance in series with the armature, so that the armature current is limited within its 2 to 2.5 times the rated value. So what is the circuit? You see that this is the representation of automatic starter. Now it has got two portion. This portion is main power circuit and this is the control circuit. Okay, now the power circuit, what we have, this is the armature. Then we have here I have shown 3 steps resistances. If we want more steps, then there will be just we can add more steps resistance here. Now this is the main contact M. This is the overload. Overload protection is the minimal. And this is done with voltage sensing relay. So these are the 3 relays. So this is the control circuit. So control circuit, what we have, we will have a stop button, a start button. Now the stop button is a normally both are push button. This stop button, you can see this is a normally closed one, and start push button is normally open. That is, when we press, it will close the circuit. And stop, in case of stop, it is normally closed. When we press, it will break the circuit. So to start the motor, we will press this start button. So this circuit is closed. So this coil M will be excited. So when this coil M is excited, it will close all its contact, normally open contact. There is a contact in the power circuit. So this contact will be closed. This contact and this contact will be closed. Now when the power circuit contact is closed, then armature will get supply through in series with this resistance. So the motor will start. Now why this contact is required? Now actually this is a push button. If we release, it will open. But when it is released, it is we have to hold this contact. So by that time, this contact is closed. So circuit will be continuing through this point. So, and this, as this is closed, so in this circuit, we have three contacts, relays 1A, 2A, 3A, and these contacts, 1AR is a contact of this relay, 2AR is contact of this relay, 3AR is contact of this relay. These are voltage sensing relay. So as the motor is speeding up, so the voltage, this relay is sensing the voltage that back EMF generated across the armature plus these two drops. So when this voltage becomes more than or equal to a certain preset value, then it will operate this corresponding contact here. So 1A will close. When 1A will close, this relay will be excited. So this relay in turn will close its contact in the power circuit. So this portion of the resistance will be cut off from the main circuit. So now the armature will have get supply through with two resistance in series. So the supply will be like this. Now again, this relay is sensing this voltage across this plus this drop. Now again, when this voltage is equal to the preset value, then it will operate its contact here in the power control circuit. So this contact will close. So this relay 2A is excited. So this will close its contact here. So this portion of the resistance is cut off. Similarly, this relay is only reading the voltage back EMF. So when this back EMF increases further and this equal to its preset value, so this contact will close. This will excite this this relay, and this 3A will be closed. So for the running condition, all these resistances are cut off. So the supply will the armature will get supply like this. So the operation is similar to that 4-point starter or 3-point starter you have studied. Only that instead of that manual starter, now we have a automatic starter, so that we have to push the start button and the whole process is taken up by the starter itself. Now here the circuit I have defined with voltage control relay. Now voltage sensing relay rather. The same circuit we can have with, this is with current sensing relay. That is the same circuit. shunt motor circuit. Now you can see that this is armature is in series with, this is the current sensing relays, this 1 AR, 2 AR, and 3 AR. So initially when we press the start button, so this M is excited and this contact M will close. So the armature will get supply through with series with this resistance. Now the characteristic of this current sensing relays are such that it picks up instantly as soon as if the current is more than certain value, but it will drop off when the current dies down below certain preset value. Now, as initially we know that for starting the current will be very high, so this relay instantly picks up. But as the motor speeds up, that current will gradually decrease. So it will, after certain when the current falls below certain value, depending on the set value of the relay will drop off. Now here what we have in the uh, control circuit, you see that this relay 1R is excited, because when M is closed, this is excited. So if this is excited, this contact is closed. And as this relay peaks instantaneously, this is a normally closed contact, and as soon as this relay picks up, this will open. So in this circuit, actually this is open and this is closed. Okay. Now when this relay drops down, when the current falls to a certain value, this relay will, this contact will go back to its normally closed state. So this is closed. So this relay 2A is excited, 1A is excited. When 1A is excited, this contact will close. So if this contact closes, then what becomes, the circuit becomes a, this is bypassed. So it will go through this and relay to AR. Now 2AR setting is the the current will shoot up because the portion of the resistance is cut off. Sorry. So this relay picks up instantaneously. When this relay picks up, this contact opens. Now these relays are very fast acting, so it will open before this 1A closes. So again, the motor will run for a few seconds with these two resistances in circuit. Then when the current drops down to below certain value, so 2AR drops off. So this will close its contact here. So 2A is excited. When 2A is excited, this is closed. So your circuit will be like this. Now 3AR picks up. So similar thing, this is open. Now once the current falls below certain value, it will close. So 3A will close. So normally we will have the power current will flow like this. So only one relay will be in circuit instead of the three. So the same thing what we can obtain with a 4-point starter can be you have with a current sensing relay or a voltage sensing relay. Okay, I will stop here today. We will now actually I have a class tomorrow also, na? But tomorrow actually some PhD entrance exam is going on. So tomorrow I will take the class. We will again. I will take the class on next Thursday. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.